Hey guys, welcome back to the What's Next podcast, brought to you by Livewell Therapeutic Massage right here on the beach of Monterey. Beautiful Monterey, what a beautiful day today. Hey, today we've got an amazing a guest that we've had on before. We had him on probably about a year and a half ago, back when we just did the audio, so glad to have Mr. Anthonymondragon back. He is from the Mutsun Tribe, if I said that right.
You said it right.
Who's been in this Monterey area for over 10,000 years.
Yes.
We covered a lot of things on the first podcast.
Yes, we
talked
did.
a lot about your grandma, your great-grandma.
My great-grandmother.
Ascención,
yes.
Ascención. And how she got with a linguist. His name was John Peabody Harrington.
That's it, yes.
He took down a lot of information from your great-grandmother to try to hold on to a lot of the tribal history. So here we are today. Mr. Mondragon has all of that stuff. Well, tell me where you're at here on this now, because I haven't seen you in a year or so and talked about this. So I know you've made some progress since the last time we talked.
And it's moving. Actually, it's great that we're doing this right now, because in the last I'd say month, 2 months, we've really started moving. I have some people that came on board. One of the gentlemen was the county assessor, Steveblasen, that he was the assessor for 28 years here in Monterey. And he really believes in the mission. And so...
I bet he's got some connections.
Yes, he does. And he's just phenomenal. He's really, really good at, we need a team. And Steve is bringing himself to the team, as well as his connections, his people that he knows, that he's worked with for years, and have had just acquired an office, which is really nice. I'm just getting into that. It's in a complete round room in a building that's 102 years old, Monterey's first hotel.
Really?
Yes.
Like a roundhouse almost.
It's a round room.
Right.
It's a round room that's completely round, no corners, and it's 102 years old, and it's just phenomenal. So things have started moving in the direction that needs to happen, which is just incredible.
Yeah.
And so now it's starting to take form, but we're really, really looking to build the team. We're still going there.
Right.
Anybody that's like-minded, that would really, really want to see as much of the Central Coast saved for the ancestors, for our kids, for us, the ancestors would love that.
Right.
This is the mission that came to me, and that's what I'm doing. This is really the direction I'm going in. We have our 501c3. That's our nonprofit that's up and running the feds. I also started a nonprofit church that just came up. The federal government just gave me my certification on that.
Oh, no kidding.
And the name of the church is Church of the Native Ways.
Okay.
And so this is just starting as well. This can be incorporated with the foundation. And so really the mission is to obtain land as much as possible. I would love to have land donated. We can, or buy it through grants that we get to buy land, or private donations, and to see the land saved and keep it in its native and natural states. And this will enable us to go ahead and go do retreats, sweat lodge. I would love a museum. I was going over a lot of the archival records, or it's the documents that I have is just phenomenal. The amount of stuff that I was going through a lot of it last night, and it really needs a home and a museum. I would love to go ahead and set up a museum, as well as a community center like we had mentioned before, and the last time we spoke. I want to also get community garden going. One of the things that I really get is why we're here on this. Why are we here on this beautiful, beautiful green earth? You know, Mother. And Mother is here, and we are a part of her. Mother Nature heals us, and really we've become disconnected. The native people, my ancestors, as well as the ancestors on the other side of the earth, they were also totally in tune with Mother Nature. And that's really one thing that we need to bring back. She'll heal us. Our kids need this as well, knowing we've become really disconnected. You know, we're plugged into a television. We're plugged into, we're not really having any understanding about clean water, the earth,
right.
And, you know, being part of her and being, you know, getting our hands in the dirt and, you know.
So tell me a little bit about this church. So the church is kind of an odd word. It's not something where you're going to pray to a higher power other than Mother Earth. It's not like a religious, but it is.
It's spiritual. It's a spiritual. This is where we're going. One of the things, Steve, which is really, it's a spiritual based.
Right.
Okay. And when we were thinking about how we were going to do this, Church of the Native Ways, the native people of the earth, it's not any specific religion. It's a spiritual base, you know, your spirituality, you know.
When we talked about this before, just in passing, just during massages, you were saying that, you know, if we had some land in order to do all this and preserve this is not just a Mutsun Tribe.
Absolutely.
This is for the children of the earth. And I thought that was just amazing.
And that's really, that's, Steve, thank you for bringing that up, because really this is what it's about, you know. Sure, it's for the native people of the Central Coast.
Right.
You're a native person of the Central Coast now. You reside here, and there's a lot of people that were born here, you know, and I look at it as that.
Right.
It's for us, you know. We are all of Mother Earth. We're of the earth, you know. We're all earthlings. We're all earthlings. Maybe we were over in that area of the earth, but so that's really true. And thank you for mentioning that, because it's really that's a biggie.
And that would be open to Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, all that kind of thing. All these
exactly,
for them to have and learn. Before I went into Boy Scouts or Cub Scouts, I was in, we covered this on the last podcast, but we did a thing through the YMCA called Indian Guides. And for every great thing that you did, you got a feather. You know, you got a leather vest, and you had to put it together.
Yes.
You know, you had to thread it together, and you got patches all over it. Whether I started a fire, I started, you know, I helped, you know, whatever, just getting you ready for that. And ingrained in that was all of the Indian type of way of thinking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just to take care of the earth. To you know, this is Mother Earth. This is the cycle of life, and you know, all these different things. And it was really neat, you know, to go on before the Boy Scouts and then you know, something different.
Well, this is one thing that's really not happening for the kids.
Right.
You know, be it boys or girls, the kids, you know, and even young adults, you know, kids and people really have become so disconnected from that. And it's really, really rewarding, you know, like you said, oh, I just got my patch or my feather, and it's just like, it's something that's really like, will stick with you. That's something that you will, you know, you'll remember, and it has real meaning to it. Right. You know,
we had this one fella that his son was in Boy Scouts with my two boys, and in talking to him, right out of college, he went to live on an Indian reservation for a few years, just so he could absorb that life. That was fantastic. These kids couldn't get enough of this guy, his stories, and, you know, it was amazing. It would be, you know, what you're talking about would really hit hard, you know, with these kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it really did. It was really neat.
At one point, before my father's passing, he actually was going to the elementary schools and letting the youngsters, know that we were still here, because the reality about our tribe and this area is that most people that live here on the Central Coast in Monterey County, they really don't even have an idea of, Indians lived here.
I didn't. I didn't. I coming from Michigan, I thought this was part of Mexico.
See, and
I didn't really, until you and I talked, it was like, oh yeah. I mean, because from Michigan, it's just Indian tribes from one end to the other.
Yeah.
Ohio and Illinois all the way around, but never really thought about California.
Yeah. And on the Central Coast here.
Yeah.
It's really
coast, right.
So that's one of the things that really my mission.
Yeah.
It came to me, we had discussed this before. I was looking at Ascension's picture in my room, and I was going, why am I here? What really, through all of my ups and downs in my life, I made it, but really, what is it? What is this? Why am I here? And I was looking at her, and I go, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah. This is my mission. This is really to carry the torch. My father and my uncle started it. My father actually became a really a genealogist, and he was best friends with the number one genealogist here in the United States.
Wow.
And, yeah, and so he started his mission later in life after he was retired, and so really I got it. Steve, it was just like,
that's
okay,
so cool.
I get it. I really got to do this. It's just like, I know that the blood that runs through my veins will be extinct in a couple more generations, and that will be it. We will be considered dissipated into the melting pot.
Into the melting pot, not gone, just dissipated into. Yeah.
Exactly. We no longer recognize you as a race of. That once was.
Right.
And so, and this is really something that that I'm dealing with, that we're dealing with.
Right.
I have a Bureau of Indian Affairs number, but they don't recognize me as
You brought that up last time, and that confuses me a little bit.
It confuses me. I have a paper from the BIA, stating that I have a number with them, but they're not recognizing us. We never were put on a reservation. We never signed any treaty with Spain, Mexico, or the U.S.
And French were here, I think, too. I don't know.
Well, the Russian rivers were up north and north of San Francisco.
Right.
I don't know if the French were actually colonized here. I know that the Spanish came here in the 1700s.
Right.
So, and to think about that little part of it, it was like, okay, well, 1700s, we were getting our independence from England, 1776, that's when we got our independence.
Right.
So they had just discovered us at that point on this side of the U.S. So and within that short period of time, basically we were almost eradicated to the point we were
pretty much
extinct.
Really?
Yeah. And but we're here, and my mission is really one that I believe there's a lot of people out there that are thinking the same thing. Let's save as much of this beautiful Mother Earth as we can.
Right.
And especially on the Central Coast, this is just one of the most pristine and beautiful places there is. I think Mother Earth is beautiful on all aspects. The desert is just incredible. All these different areas on the Earth is something else. I've been real fortunate to be able to go to different countries. In the last 7 years, I've been in 18 countries.
No kidding.
Yeah, and so I've been real fortunate, and it seems like, wow, that's just incredible as far as money goes. But if you do it right, you can actually do it, and not spend a ton of money. I was fortunate to find myself doing it, and it was like amazing. And so, point is that I was really able to see a lot of different things on the earth. It's just amazing. Different areas. Oh, it is too. When you see things that are out there, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
It really is amazing. And then here in the United States, just the incredible landscapes that are everywhere in Colorado and here in the Central Coast. You go into, like this year we had the super bloom. It was just incredible. It was really, really incredible in the different areas that we have here on the Central Coast that a lot of people don't know about. The pinnacles, these different areas. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah,
it really is. And that's another thing that we could do is bring kids to there. Not only like really young kids, all of us.
All of us.
People, period. Because, there's a lot of older people, even retirees, that really don't get to go out and enjoy this stuff or be a part of, So
if you travel through Europe and you tell people you're an American Indian, isn't that like totally intrigue them? They've got to be blown away.
Yeah, it's different. That's for sure.
You're like one of the original Americans. Like it must be crazy to somebody from Europe.
They go. It's like, they don't know what to think because, they reflect on like the cowboys and Indian movie, you know what I mean? So,
it's a culture shock for them.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And just to be able to enjoy Mother Earth, I want this for all of us.
Yeah.
Steve, and this is really going there. I'm still looking for grant writers. I have Steve. Steve is really, really phenomenal as far as writing goes. We just got done doing the festival over in Sand City, the West End. We do that once a year, and that really is an amazing thing. And so. Really would love to have people call if they're interested in, my phone number is on the website. They can call me and we can get together and talk about how they can help.
Right.
Which would be great because this is really time is now.
Yeah.
Time is of the essence.
Right.
We really do need to do this now. A lot of the land is disappearing and it's disappearing really in a rapid rate.
Sure is.
And there's a lot of people that have land here on the Central Coast that really want to see it not developed and stay natural and stay as pristine as possible. And that's where we come in because this is what we are looking at too.
Even if they're just looking for an outstanding tax write-off, man.
Absolutely.
Just give us a call. We'll tell you all the information.
Exactly.
For sure. Yeah.
And we will go ahead and steward the land and take care of it. Mother knows how to take care of the land herself, so it's more or less just making sure things are in order, Get
out of the way.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And there is the need for land that does have buildings on it so that we can do a community center. We can do, gardens, community gardens and retreats and stuff like that. So that would be great.
Yeah.
Land that actually has the accommodations for us to do this.
Yeah. It'll have to build on itself. One thing at a time, it's not all going to show up at once, but whatever it is, that's
exactly. And obtaining land that were just designated to stay totally natural, that we're not going to do anything. The only thing that we would really do is set it so that we could actually have day retreats that we could bring people to so that they could enjoy. The awness of
walking trails through
exactly
there.
Exactly. And doing that, volunteers, enrolling volunteers, which there's a lot of young volunteers at the colleges here, and that would really love that.
Sure.
And I would love to be a part of that with them. There's so much that really is, like I've just said, and Steve, it's time is now. And
it has to be showpiece. It has to, like you said, maybe a museum or a small museum maybe, where we can put those works out, or recordings that can just play at a push of a button if the children want to listen to it, and since you'll speak.
Not only exactly
that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Really put them there.
Yeah, there's so much that we can do with the
Yeah.
documents that I possess that we can bring to life.
Yes,
We
I
can
don't
bring
even
to
know what you
life.
have.
Oh, Steve, you're going to see. You'll see. And it's just, I was looking through it last night, and I was like, wow.
Right.
Wow. I just want to devote all my time. You know, I'm in the trades. You know, I'm a painting contractor, and I paint. And I really, the amount of documents and information that I possess, that was my father, and it was in the Smithsonian that John collected, and my father, with the elders that were around when he was around collecting this information, is just unbelievable.
This stuff was actually at the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
Wow.
there I have black and white pictures. It's just Steve, you're going to see it and you'll be in awe, and you'll be going, okay, we need to put this together.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at. You know, I really, really want to put this together in such a manner where this becomes my complete. This is what I live for. I'm not in the trades anymore. This is where I'm going.
Right. Right.
And I know that's really what it's about. That's why I got to be where I'm at today, because this is my mission. This is going to be the last chapter of my life.
Yeah.
And actually, you're part of it.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And this is phenomenal. I've never done anything like this, except the other day when we did that. Last year.
Yeah.
The audio part of a podcast.
Right. And I'll tell you what. You know, you got a lot of views.
Wow.
You're one of my top viewers. Views.
That's great.
Ladies like you, man.
Now I'm going to get embarrassed.
Yeah.
And thank Wade for being the engineer here and taking care of us here.
Keeps us all going. Right on. You know, reservations get a bad rap sometimes.
Yes, they do.
You know.
And well, they have a lot of things going on.
There's a lot of goofy stuff going on, and they're on the shittiest land that's possible.
And
I stumbled across this show on YouTube the other day where this fella's going around into the Appalachian Mountains, and the name of the tribe escapes me, but the ones that did the Trail of Tears.
Okay.
This reservation was up in the mountains, and this is basically the people that didn't go on the Trail of Tears and the relatives of those people. You know, so somebody came in and bought, I don't remember the exact, 4,200 acres or whatever, and just sold it back to the Indians for like $25 an acre or something. Just gave it back to the people.
Wow.
You know, and they have made this place amazing. It's, you know, they do have gambling casino, but the women of the tribe run everything.
Wow.
The men have absolutely nothing to do with it. You know, and the guy they were interviewing was saying, you know, well, my daughter's about to turn 18. She's been getting these checks every 6 months since she was born. That's her piece of what's coming off the gambling casinos. And she'll have $500,000 in her bank account when she turns 18. She'll only be able to access a small percentage of it as few years go by, because you don't want to turn that kind of money loose on an 18-year-old. But I understand. But it was like, and for the rest of her life, as long as that casino's running, she's going to get these checks every 6 months. And it's like, man, they really set themselves up. What a, you know, and the buildings were beautiful. They had their own hospital. They had their own schools, you know, everything, and they did it all themselves, you know, and it was like, and he was trying to push, this is the way it should be run, guys, you know, to the other tribes, you know, to the other reservations. Take lessons from what we're doing here, please, see, you know, and it was like, wow, that's just completely the opposite of what you would think as a, you know, a tribal. You know, you think of the alcoholism, you know, I'm 38 years sober, so I can talk about alcoholism, you know, and all the rest of the stuff that goes with it. But these guys just had it.
Yeah,
these gals, I should say.
Well, and that's wonderful, because it does go the other way a lot of the times with casinos. There is, you know, and there is the casinos here in California actually. The Indians that have them, a lot of them actually are building doctor's office, dentist's office, and not only the natives use this. That like I use it because I have the number from the Bureau of Indian Affairs.
Right.
I have that number, and they said okay. They obviously, so I get to use it. Or if you're a low income in the community,
Okay.
you're welcome to come as well.
Okay.
And you don't have to be native, which is
I
great.
see. Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
Oh.
really what a great thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, with the monies that they're creating through these casinos. You know,
Exactly.
instead of being me, mine.
Right.
You know, and a lot of corruption happens in the different tribes where the family who's running the show are the ones that take everything basically,
Power,
and then
right.
and then you still have poverty really big time on the res.
Right.
You know, that happens.
Select hand few get all the donations.
But that happens outside of in
Right.
the modern day out here in the world, not only on the
Right.
reses, but
I think that was the bonus to have all the women run it.
yeah, I believe me, and that's
You know?
wonderful. I love hearing this. That's a great story. Yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
They're just out for the kids and the future generations of the tribe.
That's great.
You know, white people can come in and they can rent those buildings to have businesses, but they have to pay back to the tribe or whoever owns that particular piece of land. You know, I thought that's been, you know, somebody went out and just bought all that land. I thought that was great. You know?
Yeah, that's wonderful, and that they were turned around and gave it back to the natives. You know, and that's phenomenal and it's wonderful.
That's what made me think of you again. You know, because this is about exactly what we're trying to do.
Yes.
Trying to find somebody that can either donate or sell it super cheap, you know, tax write-off or whatever, so we can get this thing rocking and rolling.
Exactly. And I really feel, Steve, that we're going to do this, and the time is now, you know, and it's just when I look at my great-grandmother, I look at my grandmother, and you know, my father's pictures inside in the Santa Barbara Natural Museum history, as well as and Smithsonian, you know, it's just like wow, it's just like I have to sit back, you know, and go wow, you know, Ascension lived through the last part of the missionary periods, and she didn't understand why she lived, you know. And it was for the next generation to be here, like my father and my uncle, and then me and my brothers and my sister and sisters, and so she lived through all that hardship for this to carry on, you know.
Exactly, right.
And that's really what I got, you know.
Yeah.
I'll show you a picture of Ascension.
Yeah.
You'll just go wow, because she's my great grandmother, but I look like her.
No kidding.
The nose, everything.
Right.
It's just like, I have a friend of ours that she's in Russia, and I sent her a picture of me and Ascension, and she goes, she couldn't believe how.
Sure, that's not your mother.
Yeah, kind of thing. It's like wow, you know.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
And Ascension was alive when Lincoln was in office, you know.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right. Well, send me a couple still shots of that, and we'll see if
absolutely.
we can feed that in.
Yeah.
Stick that in
Definitely.
there, you know, in the podcast.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm looking forward to having you on board, and maybe come one of the Saturday mornings I get together with Steve and we go over things over at the coffee shop.
Yeah. You talked last time about when this John Harrington came in. He recorded her on like a disc or a type of tube,
exactly.
waxophone or something.
It's called a wax dictaphone, and the thing is that this is the bummer part about it. There's different folks that he recorded, and they weren't marked.
Oh,
they're there,
right?
But they weren't marked.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not really sure how we could actually know for sure it was Ascension, you know, because they kind of got scrambled, you know. And
is there anything that can play that audio?
You know,
at all?
I don't know how. We'll have to. I would love to get a grant so we can research, and that's really, there's grants out there for that. There's grants out there for us to be able to take all these documents that I have and organize them,
right,
and put them on the disc or whatever, you know. And we need to go ahead and put all this down so that it doesn't get lost,
right? Because
God forbid anything happens, because it's all in paper, it's all in you know, in Rubbermaid big tubs, you know, and all that needs to be documented,
right,
in a manner that exactly. And so this is where grants come in for us to hire people to actually start putting all this stuff down, and saving it. So anybody out there that has an idea that we can do this, please, let's do this.
There's probably very few people in the world that can mess with that stuff anymore, but there's got to be somebody.
Yeah, somebody that's willing, and and the cause is huge because this information is just phenomenal.
Right.
This is history. This is
who knows what else he recorded on there too.
Who knows exactly what's in there. And I started going through this, and I was getting old newspapers and old, black and white pictures and just a lot of different things that I'm looking at. Just phenomenal. It's just like all I want to do now is just go over everything and just and go through all of it. What's there?
Right.
So
you'll probably learn a lot.
Absolutely.
Once you get this all broke down and sorted out and
absolutely.
Like, wow, okay.
And then folks that are working with me, we'll be doing this together and we'll be learning this together.
Right.
And this is one thing that I thought about. Not only planting native plants and getting and because Ascención was a medicine woman. She was a medicine woman. John took down all the information of all the different plants that she used to heal. So this was one thing that we will be growing in our community garden, and we will go ahead and do this together, and I will be learning also along the way.
How about that?
And this is
learning from your grandma.
Exactly.
How cool is that? Right?
Learning and teaching at the same time.
Yeah, right.
As we go. Yeah.
Right. She'll be sitting up on a cloud smiling.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Amazing.
I believe so.
All of the ancestors and right.
Absolutely. All the elders.
So cool.
All the elders.
I'm so stoked for you, man. I'm proud of you for doing this.
Yeah, and
it's not easy.
No, it's not easy, and it's like one of those things that really came to me, and it's there. It's there.
Right.
I'm not. It's one of those things where, as humans, we're going, why are we here? One of those questions. Why are we here? You know what I mean? I grew up, and it's like, this is the funny part. I'm native, and I'm European. My mother, she had green eyes and red hair.
Yeah.
She's Irish and German, so, and the Irish and German folks pretty much killed my ancestors. So there's I'm dealing with that inside me, you know what I mean? So I've come to peace with this, with myself. Right. And because I look more like my father, I've got dark skin,
right,
dark hair. It's just like,
the Indian genes were strong.
Yeah, they were really strong. And so it's a funny thing to think about, when I think that. And
there's a war inside my head.
Yeah, really. And it's just like, well, it was really kind of as a youngster growing up here. My name's Anthony, and it's just like there's three Anthonys because it's Italian town.
It's an Italian town, right?
Exactly. And there wasn't any other native people. There wasn't any native people here that I would interact with. So it was all my friends are white, and so always kind of felt different anyway, just because my skin's dark.
Sure.
I didn't feel like I fit in because it was like, hey, come on, we were all together, but still was kind of different.
Right.
I was always a little different, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so, but
there's a lot of people with Mexican culture.
Yeah, exactly.
Too. So a lot of dark-skinned people. You probably just got shuffled in. He's got to be maybe half Mexican, half white.
Well, that didn't really happen either. Was growing up when I was growing up here, there was Hispanic families, but not too many really. There wasn't that many people, and the field workers would come up during harvest time, and so there was, a few Mexican families, but not that many, which is amazing. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And when the Fort Ord was here, the base was here, Seaside was, there was mostly black families that actually lived in Seaside. Yeah. And now it's mostly Spanish or Mexican. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of changed. So yeah. I grew up here in Monterey, in New Monterey, and so that was like I said, it was different.
Yeah, you grew up right here in Monterey. You were born somewhere else?
I was born on the East Coast because that's where my mother's from.
And
I came back.
Right?
Exactly. But back to our mission, Steve, and getting things going. Mm-hmm. is really amazing right now. There's a lot of things as far as the land being donated. I just need to go ahead and find the right person that could help me along the way with this.
Right. Legalities, the whole show.
Yes, and I have a friend of mine that's an attorney, but he will help me in a certain amount he could only do. And so, yeah, I'm really, really putting out there in the world, people that will be on board with this and really go ahead and let's build this team, and really make it happen. I want to see Mutsun Tribal Foundation be a part of the community and be known in this community, and we really, really help the community, and the community helps us, you know, and this will happen with the donating of the land, us bringing people to the land, sharing Mother Nature with everybody like it needs to be done. It really does. It's healing.
Right.
And you know that, Steve.
It is.
Being in nature is truly healing.
Yeah.
And we really need to do this. And that's a Native belief. That's a Native American belief. That's you know, my ancestors were a part of nature, and that's really why we're here.
Right.
I believe we're on the earth to be a part of.
You're right.
The earth.
Yeah.
You know, and the ancestry goes back in Europe. You know, the folks in Europe was the same way.
Exactly. Right.
You know, Christianity came along and changed everything. That's really where things changed. Yeah. And that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, right.
So
that's a hard one because, you know, I was raised so religious, but I grew up to see the damage that it's done through all religions.
Oh,
you know,
yeah, exactly. That's true.
So,
I'm very spiritual. Right. And I'm not the way things have been pushed in Christianity, it makes you go, something just doesn't seem right.
When you got so many pretty much of the same beliefs, they just have different names, whether they're you know, it's like, and they all kind of feud amongst each other.
Yeah.
It's like we're all praying to the same God. You know,
yeah,
like,
there's the creator. I look at it, the creator.
The
you know,
creator,
there is in my eyes, in my feeling, in my belief, the creator. You know, great spirit. When I speak to the spirit, that's the creator. Yeah, that's God. You know,
is there a God aside from the earth? You mean
the creator, the
creator, okay.
The creator, the one that put this whole. Matrix
Science
together.
project.
This whole Matrix together. This movie that we just happen to be we're all part of, you know. Yeah. And if you really look at it, you know, definitely man did not create a beautiful rose, you know, the majestic redwood, the mighty sequoia, you know. That was not created by who, that was done by the creator. Right. You know.
We made a whole lot of cool stuff out of those redwood trees, though, didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
We were pretty inventive.
All the gifts of the
gifts,
earth,
exactly. That's a great way to put it, right?
Yeah,
right on.
You know, so, and every day is every day is a learning experience for me too. You know, I mean, because we're here, and all the critters are earthlings. You know, the more and more that I become open to, like, expressing to the birds, the lizard, or whatever, it's just like you feel more in tune with this earth, you know. And it's wonderful, you know. It's a wonderful thing to do, and I really want to present this and you know, and be with like-minded people, like I said, you know, that really want to do this as well. To have those moments, you know, to have those moments.
I know you work really hard. I work really hard too, and we just don't have the time to get out into nature sometimes.
That's true.
Maybe a month and a half ago, Melinda and I went up to up into Oregon. We rented one of these camper vans. And we flew up into Portland and picked it up. And we just took a couple of weeks and just did a big figure 8 through Oregon, up through Washington, and ended up in just a couple of nights just hanging out by the Columbia River Gorge.
Oh, beautiful.
Bald eagles flying overhead.
Wow.
Just watching the stars. You know, we got one of these camper vans with a little shell on top, and so we just unzip it and lay there and, count the falling stars.
Oh, God.
I'm telling you.
That is just,
we need
that's
to unplug
now that's
sometime.
life. Yeah, and it's true, too.
Right? You know, sitting up on the, what are those, the islands up there off of Seattle.
British Columbia.
Yeah. And out on that island as the sun's setting, and you can see the Canadian Rockies off in the background. It's like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, we're right here. Holy cow. You know?
What a gift.
Yeah. Just come back and just, you're right back into life again. You know, with your soul is like recharged. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
We just don't do that enough.
No, we don't, and it's really, really true. You know, and that's the way that things are structured. You know, we have to get up and we have to, take care of things and make sure we have things.
Melinda will laugh at me. She's like, "What kind of tree is that?" It's like, I don't know. You'd have to cut it down and rip it in half so I could see the grains to it to tell you what kind of tree it is. I don't know what it looks like actually standing there. I should know that. I've been in lumber all my life. Yeah. But the raw trees, you just never was taught that. You know?
Yeah. So. It's amazing, all the different species out there, and it really is true too, to unplug and actually be. Like my partner, she was out in the desert for 2 months, almost 3 months, and she was like, here's a woman that was traveling by herself, and we set her up with a little camper, set up in her little stealth Honda, and just completely getting recharged, being out in the middle of a million stars and no one around, and for her to be a woman to actually go out there by herself was pretty gutsy.
I thought that too.
Pretty gutsy, and she went for it. But it's healing, it's really healing, and we need to do this. We really do, and it's so healing for all of us.
Right.
So the part of actually getting in nature, being part of Mother Nature, it's so needed.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that we really do need this land for, and we need donors that will help us and be a part of it.
I've had your partner here on the podcast before, and she's an amazing writer. We talked about her book that she wrote, Boot-on-a-Bull. It was amazing. Travels around the world. Yeah. She's an amazing woman.
Yeah, she's just incredible.
So when she says she wants to go disappear out in the desert for a while, and she needs to get her soul together because she's thinking about writing another book, it's like, wow. Yeah. Right on.
Yes.
She's cool.
Yeah. And she's doing really phenomenal things with this too.
Really?
It's just incredible that she is gifted. Yeah. She's really gifted. She has the ability to go ahead and she's really in tune with doing the astrological charts, doing it's called human design. I was having a senior moment. And it's something like the astrological charts. It's incredible. And now she's actually found runes. And runes is just, it's an amazing, and it's very old. It's before Christianity. And it's one of those that's incredible. Point about Elena is that she's gifted in a way that she tunes into these different modalities. Like she's been there a long time. It's just like, wow.
Absorbed it.
Yeah, she's one of those that she sat 10,000 hours in meditation. It's just like incredible.
Right.
Yeah. I'm a blessing. So blessed to have her in my life.
Right.
She's been instrumental in a lot of things. And doing the traveling that I've done is her. She's incredible. She was a senior systems person when the internet just came out. So she finds things on the internet. It's like, that's how come I went to Europe for cheap. She's finding these deals. It's like, what? Really?
How is that possible?
I know.
Okay, I'll take it.
We're gone to Europe for a month. Everything paid, tickets and everything for $8,000. You can't beat that.
Wow.
For a month.
That's crazy.
Airbnb, everything,
That's amazing.
It is.
That makes it able to travel.
It does.
Normally
See,
wouldn't be able
that's
to.
the thing too,
Right.
and the gifts of all of a sudden, the monies that you don't think you have comes. It's just
Right.
like, wow, all of a sudden this job or the whatever came to me, and it was like, wow, here's the monies that I needed. It's like,
Fate.
yeah, it's faith, and it's just,
right.
yeah, it's one of those gifts,
Right.
Just have faith, and it happens.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing with the foundation.
I was just going to say that. Hopefully that follows.
It will.
And yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is the time of me in my life for this to happen.
Yeah.
That's another thing in the charts that was actually a part that was laid out there. It was like, okay, this is true.
Yeah.
Your thought about why are you here and to carry this torch is absolutely there in the charts. And the charts
Right.
are saying it as well.
Right.
Wow.
Well, this
I've never meditated before, and meditating came to me too. It was like, okay, you need to meditate. And so I started meditating, and it's like, it's pretty phenomenal as well. And this was needed as well.
Yeah. So you needed that.
Yeah.
Right. I've tried it, but I just haven't gotten into it.
Yeah.
I've tried, I know.
I don't
People
meditate
talk
that much
about-
I meditate in the morning for 20 minutes, and I do it in the evening for 20 minutes. And it's part of actually doing the routine over and over again, and it's something that I just never really found myself doing, but it has, in a way, shifted my consciousness in a different way, so that I'm focused. I sit and I like religiously do this every day, which
really.
is like, okay, so this is helping me,
Yeah.
in
Well,
that manner.
I've read a lot about, people that are very successful, what's common between those people. And it seems like a lot of it is they just see it done already. They see themselves standing on that property. There's no other option. They wake up and that's what their goal is to get that.
Yes.
And it shows up. And it's just the way that you will it into existence. And
Exactly.
it's more scientific than that. And I'm sure it's, more brainwaves or whatever making you do that. But that seems to be the common wave. You just see it done. Believe it every minute of the day. That is what you want to accomplish, and it gets done.
Yeah.
So I think you're on the right track, man.
And
Just
I believe
keep
that.
on pushing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I believe that, and as the days go on, it stands true.
Yeah.
This does stand true. More people are coming into my life, and it's amazing.
Every minute, right?
Yeah, it's
That's
amazing.
perfect.
Like you guys here with me now, and I'm with you, and it's
Yeah.
like all happens for a reason.
Yeah.
It really does.
Well, before we could only do audio, and so we could only do on Spotify and that type of thing.
Yes.
So now we're doing with cameras.
Yeah, this
we can
is
get
the
a little
first.
bit more onto Facebook. We can get in a little bit, a little bit wider audience.
Yeah,
with this.
and what is it? YouTube.
YouTube, maybe get some YouTube, maybe some clips here and
Sure.
there, and just do that or pull it out, put it out as a whole full episode, and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm very honored to be a part of it.
Yeah,
This
good.
is great because I've never done this before, and here we go.
Throw the dice.
But I believe it's the right thing. I think this is the best way to go because, guys, I really, really believe this. I believe in this. I believe in us getting together right now for a reason, because this is definitely the medium that I need to go ahead and get into so that we can reach other people. We can reach further, with our cause.
Yeah.
And not only with the Mutsun Tribal Foundation cause and saving as much land on the Central Coast, but other places, and reaching out in other areas here on the Central Coast, but other things that need to be addressed as well.
Sure. And again, like maybe teaching other tribes how to get this done.
Exactly.
Right. This is how we did it.
Yeah.
If this can help you out, here it is. Free.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. So I believe it's a lot of different things will manifest out of this.
Right.
This will grow in a lot of different areas.
Yeah.
So
tell me about your dad. Well, you talked to him a little bit, but
my father was one of the things that was really a tragedy was when he was born. It was really, really taboo to mention that you were Native. You're better off saying that you were Mexican or black.
Really?
Yeah, because the only good Indian was a dead Indian. And that's truly what was happening when my dad was born.
Really?
At the turn of the century. He was born in 1928, and he was the youngest of the family. So Dad was a cement finisher, and we really didn't have any of the information that luckily we were able to obtain through Ascención. That was lost in the archives of the Smithsonian for years. But we and my father and my uncle, really gathering as much information as possible. That's why we have what we have.
Wow.
So he was,
So he got to a point with it and just stopped?
Made
sure he had it all in his possession?
What happened, Steve, was growing up, they didn't speak of being Native at all. The information that was taken by Ascención, by Steve from Ascención, basically was taken in 1929 and 1930. She died at the end of the year, and was basically lost at that point. It was John had it. It went to the Smithsonian and was sitting there for decades, lost.
And Ascención was the last one to speak the language.
Exactly.
So it was gone by 1930.
Exactly. Right. The only reason why that information was there because she had that vision, an angel was going to come in, and that was John P. Harrington. So back to the father. My father, they really didn't talk about it at all. And then when he retired, he was a cement finishers union, cement finisher and concrete man for years. Then he basically couldn't do it anymore. His knees gave out on him. He was working as a greenskeeper over at one of the country clubs.
Okay.
After he retired, he and his older brother started trying to get the information from the Smithsonian. That's when all this came about.
Okay.
We started digging to find out, to try to figure out all the information that was out there on the tribe, on our ancestors.
How does a bricklayer know to do that?
Where
would you did he must have been family
because
stories of there is these things in the Smithsonian? Or?
Well, what it was Ascención was at our family's house over in New Monterey.
Okay.
She died at the house there, and my father was actually 2 years old when she was there.
I was going to say in 1930 or 32.
He was two. And so my grandmother, she knew, and she actually, that was Ascención's youngest daughter. So she was a medicine woman in her own right.
I see.
So they knew about the different stories and stuff like that.
Right.
So, but to get as much information as possible, they went ahead and when my father retired and my uncle retired as well, then that's when they really, really started trying to get as much information as possible that was out there. Mm-hmm. They knew that Harrington had spent that time with Ascención. They knew that it was somewhere in the archives. Mm-hmm. They just had to find it. And so it was found, and it was pulled out. And at that point, my father and my uncle started seeing, they themselves were retired, but there was still a few old timers that were around that they were able to talk to go different avenues, different directions to get any information on certain things, like who was over here, and what part were you, what tribe were you from, or where things like that information. And so that was one thing that they started, and there was a few other people that are part of the tribe as well. This is how we started getting all this information that we had. That's when my father got into it. That's how we got that.
Is there quite a few Mutsun tribal members left?
There is.
Is there?
And we're blessed with that. And I'm starting. I started Mutsun Tribal Foundation as something that I wanted to contribute.
Okay.
We have the tribe is up and running, and there's a lot of things that's being done on that aspect. And my father and my uncle started it. And,
oh, no kidding. Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
And so this is up and running. But what we're talking about is something that that we're going for.
Right.
We're going
right.
for. This is
Sure.
this is like, okay, I get this is my mission.
But even the rest of the people in the Mutsun tribe are going to be like, holy crap.
Exactly. We're doing this.
This is our history. Wow, we thought this was all gone.
Yeah, not exactly. And being a part of community, this is like community.
Exactly.
and knowing the history and this is it's just an amazing journey that we have. So that's how Dad got into it, and that's how come we have that information.
Right. I'm a big record collector. I love, that type of thing, and just the thought of maybe taking one of these old waxophones and being able to pull music or pull anything that's off it. I don't know if it can be done, but
we can. Steve, and next time we talk, because we'll do another one. I'm sure.
Yeah,
we'll maybe in a little while we'll go ahead.
Be a regular.
Yeah, I'll be a regular. Well, what I'm thinking is that once we go ahead and we start getting things rolling at like land and things like that, I would love to come back and we'll talk more.
Updates.
Updates. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and find out how we're going to find how to obtain the audios that's there. Because it's not only
that can do this.
Exactly. It's not only the audios were taken of here on the Central Coast, but like a little bit further north. And Harrington actually, his mission was to find as many indigenous people that was on the West Coast. It wasn't just on the Central Coast. It was on the West Coast. It was because he knew in a couple generations it would all be lost in history, and no one would really know how we once lived here. He saw this happening. He saw the writing on the wall, and it was like that was his mission. That was his,
Yeah. Last time I think you said there was about 6 or 7 tribes in the California area, but the Mutsun tribe was the biggest.
Just here in the Central Coast, there were 7 different bands.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
In California,
here.
In California, there was
really?
hundreds.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just in the Central Coast here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The Central Coast, when you look at the Central Coast, you have Northern California, you have Southern California, and Central Coast basically starts in San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara. From that point up to us here,
San Francisco
is basically that's the Central Coast.
Right.
And then you have Northern California and Southern California.
Yeah.
There was actually a lot of tribes here in California.
Wow.
And the amazing part is that most of the tribes, all the tribes, pretty much spoke a different language. There might be close in pronunciations, the language close,
sure.
But it was different.
Yeah. Yeah, recognizable words here and there, sure, but
which is amazing.
How neat is that? Wow.
And then you had smaller tribes, just little small tribelets
it makes you wonder how many languages have been lost.
Steve, that's just
literally hundreds, right?
Oh, easy.
And that's just in our, our last 100, 200 years.
Exactly.
Not before that. It could be thousands of languages come and gone, but
just on the Central Coast,
so cool that we have a little bit.
Exactly.
If you can save it and bring that back. That's just
exactly, and that's one of the things that Harrington, he had that vision, to save what he could.
Right.
And thank goodness there is folks out there like him because all the different languages would be lost.
Right.
You know, and one of the things was that he realized that how we lived, and he was only able to say little bits and pieces how my ancestors actually lived for, you know, thousands of years, 10,000 years or more. You know, how we lived in harmony with Mother Nature.
Sure.
You know, if we were still living the way we were, you know, in the 1700s, you know, the beginning of the 1700s, there was no Europeans, you know, on the Central Coast. They might have been a couple that just happened by, but for the most part, we were still living the way we did for 10,000 years or more. You know, there would be one of the goals that we really to save as much land on the Central Coast. The water, we need to go ahead and save as much and keep things as clean as possible. You know, we want things to be reversed.
Right.
You know, we can do this if we really put our hearts and souls to it.
You know, it's funny, growing up, I would think of as Indians as traveling with the herds or never really having a certain place. But as we were talking last time, just because they were moving doesn't mean they didn't have certain places that they stopped and stayed.
Yeah.
They built or whatever houses, and then they would move on and they would come back to that area. You know, it's not like they were just wandering across in public schools the way we were learned. You know, that's not true at all.
No, not at all.
They did live here, even though they traveled, right?
And what it was is they wouldn't travel far. At least my native, my ancestors, because you know during this time of the year, the acorns would be falling from the trees. So they're collecting acorns because they would make basically a bread out of the acorns. They would pound them. They would leach out all of the bitterness in the creeks. That's why you have all the mortars that from around here.
I've seen those.
Yeah, and so and then certain time of year they would be collecting mussels and abalone and
when the acorns stopped falling, moved on to the mussels.
They would just and the beautiful part about it is that if one area that year wasn't really producing much, they would leave it alone for 7 years, and then they would come back. They wouldn't overplant over, you know, they wouldn't deplete it.
Over deplete it. Yeah.
They would not deplete it. They would just go ahead and let it come back naturally.
Right.
You know, so that's what they did.
Otherwise they would wreck the earth.
Exactly.
What are you doing? Right?
Yeah. You know, they were really in tune with Mother Earth.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why it was so beautiful and pristine and that really is part of it, you know, living in tune with the planet.
Yeah.
And it's really true.
That's
you know, if we were living in tune with the planet right now, we wouldn't be in the place that this planet is.
Right.
You know, so let's get together and let's try to save it for our kids.
That's why we got to get these boys and girls clubs out there. Get these children involved.
Exactly.
They're the ones that are going to save the planet, not us old guys.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. You know, we need to introduce, you know, this to the kids,
right?
You know, and sticking them in front of a television, and you know, instead of bringing them into nature and outside,
right?
You know, it's
a crime.
It is a crime.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what we're going to do, Steve.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you came back, man.
I'm so glad that you had me back.
Yeah,
it's just wonderful. You know, it's just amazing journey that we got going on. You know what I mean? And you know, and I've been pushing a lot lately, so I'm a little tired right now. But I'm just so happy to be here. You know, good. And it's just. It's an amazing journey. Yeah. And we really are going to do this. Mutsun Tribal Foundation is going to do this with the help of the community and with you helping this journey, helping this mission. It's just it can make I could cry, you know, I could shed a tear because of joy, you know, because I see that this is really going to make a difference. It's making a difference, and it's like you said earlier, you know, by manifesting it, by bringing it into being, you know, seeing it.
Exactly. Manifesting.
It's going to happen.
Great.
It's going to happen.
I've reached out to anybody that I know, attorneys or anybody that I know that knows how to get grants or anything, you know.
It's all going to happen.
I'm just, you know.
Yeah, I need to reach out. And you have, and now it's my turn. to reach out and talk to a couple folks that you have for me, and thank you.
Sure.
You know, and I will let you know how things go on that. And yeah, anything else that comes up, feel free, you know, to call me. You know, we should, you know, take a walk one of these days up in the forest. You know, I'll show you some really neat places.
Bring some cameras and
some really neat places that I could show you that most people don't see. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm in for that.
Yeah, and Elena's always doing forest walks too. You know? And so yeah, you'll have to come aboard one of these days and go for a walk with us.
Right.
You'll love
stoked.
it. Yeah, let's do it.
Mutsun Tribal Foundation.
Yes.
That's where you can get a hold of Mr. Mondragon.
.org.
So glad to have you back. And
thank you.
Until next time, you'll be a regular. We'll see you in a few months here and just check in and see what's going on.
No, I'm looking forward to it because in the next couple months, we're really going for it.
Yeah, I want to meet this nest builder that you were talking about.
Yes, and then we're going to, that Jason is incredible, and we're going to do a podcast with him.
He's got a podcast, another great resource.
And that's incredible too. We'll sit with the drum and a nest. It's just that's another one.
Right.
But then we're going to come back here and we're going to touch bases on what's been going on and who we've got a hold of and the land that we acquired.
Right.
Because that's what's going to happen. Yes.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Great podcast.
Yes.
All right.
Wonderful.